Hello, everyone, and welcome to Absolute's product briefing, 3 immediate actions to save time while managing learning online. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us, and I really hope you can get some valuable and practical tactics from this webinar. Your speakers today are myself, Surita Bains. I'm the Director of Product Management, focusing on the education business here at Absolute. And with me is Jordan Kauffman, a technical consultant in our customer experience group, and also the former Director of Student Technology at Pennsylvania Cyber Charter Schools. Let's start with our agenda. First, we'll be talking about some remote learning challenges that you're currently facing today. We're going to have a quick poll to hear from you what you're facing. We've heard from a lot of customers directly over the last few weeks, but we'll start with some discussion on that. Next, we'll be talking about web usage and device analytics and how these can help you with some of those challenges that you're facing. Device collection is a very challenging topic right now. We'll dive into some specific tools, tips, and resources to help you in your device collection process. And finally, remote IT and help desk. This is something that organizations are now having to do at a very quick time frame, and we'll go over some tips to help you do this effectively and, again, hopefully save time as you're now operating a remote help desk system. And finally, in the last 15 minutes, we'll save some time for some of your questions at the end of the webinar. So let's start talking about the impacts of COVID-19 on districts like yourselves. Without doubt, there are a lot of unknowns.
Here are the 3 immediate actions we're going to discuss today. The first would be activating the web usage and device analytics in the console. And as I just mentioned, lack of visibility into the way students are using devices in an online learning platform is a major question right now. So, as the classroom goes digital, we're faced with the problem of visibility. Outside of what your LMS might indicate, how do you really know what students are using their devices for? For how long are they using them? And are they making use of their available resources? It's hard enough to quickly identify a struggling student when they're in a classroom in front of you, and the challenge is multiplied when they're remote. So Absolute can help measure student productivity by looking at the time spent engaging with their online learning versus other online activities. Next, of course, we said is device reclamation. There's a huge push to get devices in the hands of students during this time, but at some point those devices need to come back, right? So Absolute can help streamline, the end of year or whenever you do your device reclamation, so you can plan, execute, collect, monitor those remote devices. And of course, remote operations, help desk still has to operate remotely. So, an online learning environment means, you need to know where your devices are at all times, ensure that they're, safe and in a working order at every point in their life cycle. And again, without that physical access to the devices, your IT has to figure out how to service those devices without the network touch. And again, data and device security is part of that too. So again, remote devices not being on your network, how do you ensure those devices and the data on them is safe and secure? Of course, especially concerning when you're in a regulated industry such as education. So students and staff working from home, there's going to be a lot more sensitive data saved to those devices most likely. So how do we ensure that they have access to the resources they need? So, with Absolute, IT can support students and their security and their productivity while they're learning remotely using different things we'll talk about like Absolute Reach and application persistence, and help you repair and keep track of those devices. So activating the web usage and the device analytics. To help with the transition to remote learning, all Absolute customers have access to our new weekly web usage reports, and they will until August 31st of 2020. Following that, it will be available with our resilience licenses only. And so what's web usage allow us to do? It allows us to track which websites students are using and spending their time on, and how much active time is focused on that learning. Correlating the device and web usage trends with your learning outcomes across schools or districts. Identify potentially harmful sites or unsafe content students could be accessing, and then add those sites to your web or your content filter, and promote the use of online learning tools. And then, of course, using quantifiable data to help justify your tech spend and secure your future budget.
So let's get a little bit deeper into what does that actually look like in the console. So let's start here with how you would enable it. So in the policies section in the Absolute console, you would select the policy group that you want to enable the feature for, and then you'll see a toggle here at the bottom with web usage. So you simply go on and off. So that's essentially how you would turn the feature on, and you can set up appropriate policy groups as you feel necessary to turn this on. So just as a reminder that you do, because we're obviously collecting web data, web browsing data here for your users, you need to ensure that you've got the appropriate end user consent and you're abiding by your local regulatory and privacy laws and regulations. And so you might decide, I'm going to collect it for students and not for teachers. I'm going to collect it for this group and not for that group. This is how you would control it, and this is how you would turn it on. So once you've done that, in the reports section of the console, there are two new reports you're going to see under recent events. There is the weekly web usage right here, and then there's rising web usage report. And we'll quickly go over both of these. So in the weekly web usage report here, when you click on that, what you're going to see is all of the websites that have been visited in the last 7 days. But more importantly, you're going to see the average time spent on each of these domains, both in and outside of school hours. You're going to see the percentage of devices that are visiting any website, the percentage of devices that are going to that specific website, and the number of devices. You're also going to see a category. So these are a category, and so it might give you an idea for a site that you don't know what it is, what type of site that falls in. So this is helpful to be able to scan this and say, does this look right? Does this fit for what I would expect in my organization? We use, Nearpod or iReady. Is that where I would expect in this list? And is the usage what I would expect? Is the number of devices what I would expect? If you were to drill down into a specific site domain there, you're going to see this view. And so this is going to be every specific website within that domain and the same type of information, the average usage both in and out of school and the number of devices. So for something like YouTube, this is going to be hopefully quite helpful because YouTube can be an amazing educational resource, but it can also be a pretty big distraction at times. So when users are spending time on something like YouTube, what are they actually doing and what are they spending their time? And then we also are going to be able to drill down and see what is the actual devices that went to that domain. So here we'll drill down further and you can see the device name, again, their usage. We've also included here device usage. So you can compare and see, and I know these numbers look a little funny, we're trying to give you an idea without of what you're getting here. So it's just some mock data. But the idea of being able to compare that device usage to the web usage is, again, you can say, if a device is being booted up and a user is actively using it, how much of that time is spent online? And of that time spent online, again, what sites are they visiting? How much time are they spending here? And a big call out is, something we've heard is, well, I get that from my web filter. That's great, and you will obviously get a list of sites that are visited. This is focus time. So if a user has up a browser and multiple tabs, and they've got your LMS or something else that they need to be doing in one tab, and then something else in another tab that's a bit of a distraction, but that's where they're spending their time is on Fortnite or Minecraft. I'm just thinking about my younger members of my family. That's what we're going to capture and show, not your LMS, your iReady or whatnot you're using that is actually what you intend to be used, but if that's in the background and not being used, that is not what's going to be captured and showed here. So then let's talk about this other report. This is rising web usage. So this report is intending to highlight to you what websites were not getting a lot of usage in the week prior, but all of a sudden are. So this is different than a trending report or what's popular today report because maybe a specific website is popular every week because you're driving your students and your teachers there. So that is not going to show up in here because that's not the intent. This is something that was not getting a lot of action and all of a sudden is, because that might be interesting to you to know is, well, why all of a sudden are a lot of our users visiting this website? So this might be a good report for you to scan quickly and say, that makes sense to me because, again, we just launched a new website. That's excellent. People are adopting it. Or I don't recognize that. Why are a majority of our students going there today?